Okay, good afternoon. Here we are with Luis Enrique's press conference. First question is about tomorrow's game with Villarreal, a team that always create problems. Good morning. Well, in principle, it's one of the most difficult opponents because of the football they play, their position in the table, and the difficulties that they always generate for us. Last year, the games in League and Cup were difficult games. We know we've got a job ahead of us. We know that we need to play well and take our chances. It's a difficult game, but also an attractive game, as it always is, against such opponents. Question about Sergi Roberto, who plays in so many different positions in defence, midfield, even in attack. Is he the most versatile player that you've got in the team at the moment? Well, there's a lot of players who can play in different positions. Perhaps in all three, like Sergi, is less likely, but it's a question that Sergio Roberto's got so many different physical and technical abilities, and he's a player who's just so talented, and he's very strong as well, so he can play in all three sections of the field, and he has done that, and he's done that marvelously. It's something the team can take advantage of. It gives us added options. You always want to have players like that on the pitch, because they can do so many different things for you.
Volia preguntar per Denis Suárez, la seva evolució des que
va marxar
del Barça i si li veus opcions de tornar a ser aquí.
Left the club, but whether there's a chance that he could perhaps come back next season.
Más que hablar de Denis Suárez o hablar de cualquier jugador de los que hayan estado en el Barça que tengamos opción de recuperar, es su rendimiento el que dirá si merecen estar en el Barça o volver al Barça o tener esas oportunidades. Sus equipos han de ser y convertirse en jugadores muy importantes y tener un
first team football for their teams and performing well. We keep an eye on what they're doing. Unfortunately, because football is a difficult game, most players that leave don't get the chance to come back. Dennis is playing a lot at the moment, but I repeat that we'll keep an eye on all the different players. We monitor them every week.
Y bueno, esperamos que tengan un rendimiento lo más positivo posible en beneficio de ellos, pero es evidente que volver al Barça nunca es fácil.
But of course, it's not easy to come back to Barca because the best players in the world are here.
No está en la decisión que pueda tener yo o otro
But it's not up to me, it's up to how they perform. It's their performances that will decide whether they have a chance of coming back or not.
Joan Tejedor para la cadena SER. Uno de los datos que preocupaban en el arranque de temporada eran los goles encajados. Lleváis 3 partidos a 0 además con 3 porteros distintos, cambios en la defensa. ¿Qué elementos defensivos ha trabajado el bloque para esta mejora?
Bueno, nosotros cuando hemos encajado goles y cuando no los encajamos también lo hacemos, analizamos
whether we let goals in or not, we still analyze how the team is approaching our goal. If it's an individual matter, then we speak to the relevant players. If there are mistakes regarding the team's tactics, then we talk about these things together. We do that over the course of the whole season. That's how we started last season. It's a question of fine-tuning things. We're in a good moment of the season at the moment, but that doesn't mean that we've done the job. There's still a lot to do. Also in attack, trying to create more pressure up front and trying to get things right in defence, also in midfield. Everything can always be improved. Like I say, anywhere on the field is the same situation.
Germán García, Radio Nacional. Entramos la semana que viene en semana de selecciones.
Next week is International
La convocatoria que puedas dar para el partido de mañana contra Villarreal irá en función de los viajes que tengan algunos de los jugadores largos
be modified by the long journeys that some of your players have got and how much players are likely or not to play for their countries. For tomorrow? No. Tomorrow, I haven't really got that much of a deep choice for my squad. But No, in principle, I've not made any kind of list depending on what's happening with the international break. That's going to happen after. All I care about is tomorrow's game. That's what really matters for us. I don't think that I've got that many options, but no is the answer.
Ashraf Benaed, DPN Sports. Quería preguntarle cómo está yendo la recuperación de Leo Messi.
Leo Messi and his recovery. Very well.
Muy bien, ¿te parece poco?
Very well. Is that enough?
Bon dia, Luis Enrique. Laura Brugués, de TV3. Et volia preguntar sobre el tema de les lesions. L'altre dia va caure
Question about injuries. Rakitic, the latest to get injured. What goes through your head when you see another player is injured? Well, a lot of aspects have an influence on players getting injured. It's mainly playing too much. But there's also luck. Luck hasn't been on our side this season, really, but that can happen to other teams. Last season, other teams suffered more than we did. This season, it seems to be our turn to have to deal with injuries. We perhaps need to be a bit more careful about detecting things and not overloading players too much. It does mean we have to be even more alert to make sure these things don't happen. We do analyse how each player has got injured, whether they're getting knocks, whether they're... we do get muscle injuries, but most of it is simply knocks, which is only natural in a contact sport like this. It happens to other teams, so there's not much I can say about that. Football is a tough game. And you can see that because of all the contact is creating all these injuries.
Juan Arias, Cadena COPE. Te quería preguntar por la lista de Vicente del Bosque, si crees que debería ser un poco más consecuente con el Barça, teniendo en cuenta bajas y la diferencia de convocados entre el Barça y el Madrid de un clásico.
And the number of Real Madrid and Barca players that have been picked for Spain. I don't comment on other selections because that's the job for other managers. I picked the Barca team. I understand that if players go and play for the national team, it's because the players want to. They want to play for their countries.
Luis, aquí, Carlos Escolán, de Radio Marca. Me gustaría preguntarte, buenas tardes, me gustaría preguntarte si te cambio en particular mucho el paso para las futuras alineaciones, la baja de Iván Rakitic y el no saber si podrás contar definitivamente con Leo Messi, ya que insistís constantemente, no solo tú, sino el capitán Andrés Iniesta también, que la recuperación es lo primordial para no forzar al futbolista argentino. Si te cambia mucho el paso.
And whether perhaps this means you need to force Leo Messi to come back quicker.
Que estén o no estén.
He doesn't quite understand the question. He's asking for clarification.
Hombre, yo prefiero que estén todos y espero que se recuperen todos.
I just want all my players to recover.
El beneficio personal del jugador
but the most important thing is the personal benefit of each player. There's nothing worse than a player getting injured a second time. When they're ready to come back, that's when they play, and I'll be delighted to welcome them back. The more players I've got, the better.
Partiendo de la base de que Leo Messi es el mejor jugador del mundo.
Okay, assuming Leo Messi is the best players in the world.
Messi medio sin él es que se destierra y se confirma la palabra fuera de Messi dependencia.
But do you think you've managed to get rid of the notion of Messi dependence?
Bueno, estos son un poco vuestras teorías.
Well, these are your theories that you throw around. Depending on what results we have, you tend to veer one way or veer the other. There's no doubt that we're a lot stronger when Messi's in the team. I can't deny that, but we also have a very good team with resources that can cover for whatever players that are injured. We've got the squad in depth to push on with things. You tend to focus more on the forwards because they're the spectacular players that score the goals, but there's a lot more that goes into a team than just that. We've got the midfield, we've got the defence. Those two are aspects that we need to work on very hard, working on the group and also how they contribute to the attack. So, regardless of the players that I can use. I need to make sure that I can get the best performance out of the resources I do have at my disposal.
Viernes aquí en hora catalana a la 1 juegan Brasil y Argentina por.
Talking about Brazil and Argentina, big World Cup qualifying game. Messi won't be playing, Mascherano will. Brazil have got Neymar, so do you intend on watching the game? And what do you comment on that game? Well, it's a huge World Cup qualifier, no? If it wasn't that it was on so late, it's 1 o'clock in the morning here, no? Whoa. I'm not normally awake at that time of night, but perhaps I'll make an exception. I'll tell you next week.
Hola, Luis Enrique, soy Víctor Matea, Agencia F. Yo te quería preguntar sobre las lesiones y hablando
Another question about injuries.
Si estas lesiones que se han producido a ti te ha significado un contratiempo no poder rotar algunos jugadores.
You commented that perhaps it's giving players too many minutes, and is that perhaps you're not rotating players enough? Particularly, there could be concerns about Neymar and Suarez, who are playing nearly all the time now. Well, no, it's not been the ideal situation this season, but we've adapted, I think, pretty much perfectly to the situation. The ideal thing would be to have every player and be able to make whatever decisions I want to, but of course I'd like to have rested more players.
Hola, Iván Santonio del Diario Sport. De la misma manera que hacéis seguimiento semanal sobre los futbolistas que tenéis.
You say that you analyze the players who are away on loan.
¿Con opción de recompra o no?
Sí. And whether also the players where you've got an option for repurchase if you're analysing them. Yes, we do monitor them.
Hola Luis, muy buenas.
You're going to ask me now who they are? Well,
te quiero preguntar no por la recuperación de Lionel Messi, sino por él mismo.
Not about Lionel Messi's recovery, but him as a person. How's he feeling? What's his mood? That's a question I think you should ask him. I'm not the spokesperson for any player. I'm the Barca manager.
Hola Luis, buenos días. David Ibáñez de Mediaset Sport. Te quería preguntar por la jornada de ayer, atípica. Estuvisteis en Portaventura.
Talk about yesterday, and they went to the Portaventura theme park instead of training. What exactly were you looking to get from that?
Pues buscamos cohesión de grupo, cohesión de equipo.
It's a question of team building.
Buscamos es otro tipo de entrenamiento, claramente para nosotros.
Sometimes it's a different kind of training. Since I've been a manager, I've always liked to do these kind of things with my different teams, different kinds of training sessions. It's to do with bonding. And if we can bring the family along as well, then that's even better for the players' performances, to bring their wives, children, friends along. It was a lovely day out, and I thank Portaventura for everything they did to help us with that.
Hola, buenos días Luis, soy Olivier Goldstein de Viewsport. Mañana tenéis una racha, acabáis una racha de 7 partidos en 22 días.
You've got had 7 games in 22 days.
Mañana además es el último
Tomorrow's the last one of this really intense period coming into the international break.
Como comentas, es el séptimo partido, segundo ciclo de.
That's the 7th game. Yeah, that's a big cycle. The last cycle was 8 games in 20-odd games too.
Hemos conseguido muy buenos resultados.
We've got some very good results in this last cycle. We all know tomorrow again is an important game where we need the points against a difficult opponent. The players know that tomorrow we've got a big game. We know Villarreal are going to be very difficult to play against, so I don't need to motivate my players for the game. There are different games, perhaps against less attractive rivals, but tomorrow certainly is not one of those. But that's the end of this mini cycle, and I think we've got very clear ideas about the way we're going, and a game tomorrow that's going to be very difficult.
Mañana viene el Villarreal, de momento está en la pomada con Celta y Atlético.
Talking about Villarreal, they're in that little pack with Atletico Madrid and with Celta, or do you think it's going to be a 2-horse race this season between Barca and Real Madrid? Well, let's see. The last few seasons it's been us two, but Villarreal have always been there or thereabouts as well. What kind of difference between them and what may be the top 2? That depends really on how results pan out this season. I can't tell you. Okay, tomorrow morning the squad will be announced, and it's at 4 o'clock Central European time. That's Villarreal at the Camp Nou. Thanks for listening.
Hola, sóc l'Àlex Abrines. Si t'agrada el bàsquet, vine al Palau i fes-te rookie. A què esperes?